Here we are, another episode of the PowerHouse Smart Cool Collabs podcast. Welcome, PowerHouse Smart colleagues, friends, everybody in our world. We are so thrilled to be here today. We have an amazing guest. Honored to be able to pull from my network of luxury industry professionals who I call the coolest leaders, who are just living every day with an attitude of gratitude, doing amazing work, inspiring so many people, often speakers and teachers like our guest today has been a speaker and will continue to be a speaker for Powerhouse events. And then also, just about giving back and doing things in a much more global way, helping humanity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So today, without further ado, I always let my guests introduce themselves because this is commutable. So it's a little shorter. We could talk for a lot longer with each one of our guests, but I like to give them as much airtime as possible. So this is a dear friend of mine. She's an incredible interior designer. And her name is Lauren Coburn, but I'm going to let her share her story. So, Lauren, welcome.
Hi, Wendy. So I'm so excited to be here because the guests you have on your show are so impressive and I admire them and I'm honored to be on and I admire you so much. So
Oh,
I'm really honored to be here. Thank you.
yes, well, it's just always a pleasure to work with you. And every time I just hear your voice or see an email from you, I'm like, I got to
Oh,
reach out. I get to talk to Lauren today. So
I
that's,
feel the same.
yeah. And your company has grown so beautifully.
Yeah.
But you start from the beginning. Where are you from? And
Okay.
how did you amass such a beautiful firm? Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So I'm originally from the suburbs of Detroit. My mom is a professional artist. My dad was a race car driver, ophthalmologist, and enjoyed art on the side. He was a painter on the side. And so I come from a very right brain, left brain family who's creative, but also both very entrepreneurial and have their own businesses and had their own businesses themselves. And so, it was clear growing up that I really wanted to be an artist, but I could see how difficult, the art world was with my mom. And so I think interior design, I mean, I used to pretend I was an interior designer with my friends. They'd come over and I would use my mom's interior design books from her designers she worked with. And I would play interior decorator. And I think it just stuck. And I think it was just something, it was a creative, occupation I could go into that might be a little, easier than becoming an artist would be. And just something growing up with my mom and dad always building and designing homes is just something I've always loved. And I was always creative. I was always never good at sports. I was always the one who was great at arts and crafts and, could do anything creative growing up. So that kind of took me to the Art Institute of Chicago, where I got my degree in interior architecture. I moved to Chicago to go to the Art Institute of Chicago and got my degree there. And, in school, I think what a lot of people don't tell you is I was the least likely to succeed in my class. And,
Yeah.
sometimes when you're in school, it's like people don't tell you that the real world might be different. And we had a couple of very influential people at our industry come to our last semester critique of my whole degree was the very last semester. It was the first time we did a high-end residential project. And those very influential, very famous people in our business came up to me and said, you're going to do great, but you need to stick with high-end residential. Uh,
Wow.
and so, after years of crying my way through critiques that I always did badly with, and I was never good at hand drafting. And, I was just, school was never, never came easy to me, kind of, I think my whole life. But I then got my dream job with Stanley, Tigerman, and Margaret McCurry, who I had admired their work my whole life and had always studied their work and sent them my resume, figuring what do I have to lose? And Stanley said, your portfolio is horrible, but I really like you and I think you'll be great with my clients. And so I got thrown in the fire and I got my dream job at 21 years old. And I was, working for Stanley and Margaret as their only full-time interior designer with all architects in the office. And
Wow.
it was my
Wow.
dream job. And I got thrown in the fire and I had to make a lot of friends and ask a lot of questions and pretend that I knew what I was doing. But it was really an incredible learning experience very early on. And I was working with very high end budgets, and very high in clientele, and had to learn the business quickly. So I was with him, and then worked for another firm after that with all designers and architects, and realized that I really missed kind of being in my own world as an interior designer, but working with builders and architects collaboratively from start to finish on projects. So rather than coming in after the home was built or the condo was renovated, really wanting to be there from the beginning, and really, I have I have very good instincts with my clients. So really helping my clients, being their advocate, helping them through the whole building or renovation process, with building homes ground up or renovating condos, or, all residential, but really helping my clients through that whole process. Because there's, architects are great at what they do and builders are great at what they do, but many times there's not that person to really hold the client's hand and walk them through the entire process from start to finish.
Sure.
So,
So a couple words I got like when you were speaking was
yeah.
artist, just like went artist. She's an artist, of
Yeah.
course, because
Yeah.
your work may not have been what you thought it was going to be in the beginning. It is spectacular today, of course,
Thank
which
you.
is a testament to your talent and how you've groomed that. But I also heard perseverance. I mean, regardless of, how you got kind of turned down a few times, you ended up getting like the dream job, and it was about you, the personality, that heart that comes out when you start talking. And obviously, Stanley Tigerman and Margaret saw the talent that was like this, let's just polish this diamond, right?
Yeah.
And then the
Thank
last
you.
thing I heard, which of course equates to a lot of the reasons why I'm sure clients are so confident with you, is that you do understand exactly what the architect does, exactly what the contractor does, but yet you know how to weave in that design build process, and you are exactly what Stanley and Margaret wanted, was that client liaison. You are their trusted advisor, their resource. So my
Mhm.
question to you, my dear, is so how do you take that if you're that and build a team around you so
Yeah.
you can do all the projects that come to you? Because otherwise you'd be turning down a
Yeah.
lot of projects.
Yes. So for the first 5 years of business, I did everything myself, which is not the way to do things. But I didn't know how to hire somebody. I didn't know how to delegate. That was terrifying to me. And when I started my business, I decided to do something totally unorthodox. And I figured, okay, I'm out on my own now. Was kind of unexpected. And what can I give clients that they're not getting from designers? And I think at the time, because I've been in business now 21 years, so this has been a long time. And so back in the day, it was all smoke and mirrors in our business. And I thought, how can I give people transparency? And I just started interviewing everyone I knew and asked, what are the issues? Why do people go through designers like water? Because back in the day, they did.
Mhm.
And kind of collected everyone's thoughts. And I think it was like kind of all the same things. It was not knowing what designers' costs really are, and a lot of smoke and mirrors with that. It's not, dealing with issues when they come up. I'm important until I have a problem, and then they won't call back. Or it was kind of these same things. And that's kind of how I built my business. But I did everything myself for the first 5 years because I didn't know how to delegate any of that. And I didn't know how to trust anyone with that, or I figured who would want to like learn from me, and how do I manage people. And then I had my son, and I did Dream Home at the Mart, which was a big show house that they used to have that was up for 9 months. And I was the only one that year who did it all by myself with no help. And all the other designers that did the show house had teams of people coming and helping them. And I knew then I had to hire my first person. So um, I took someone on she was with me for 7 years, and she was my right-hand woman with everything. And, fast forward, I've learned by now, and I've made mistakes, and I think I've hired some more junior level people that didn't show uh, the same like loyalty and commitment. And I'm kind of learning now about really what I need to look for in a hire and be exposed to great people, which you've helped me with. But really what I need to look for now. And I think, for every designer, it's different. I think for some designers, their goal is get as big as possible, as fast as possible. And I think for me, I've seen so many of my colleagues get so big and have these businesses that on the outside look so successful, and they struggle and they're stressed and they feel like they're managing a firm all day and they're not designing anymore. And I've kind of, after learning from them, I've seen, and just in other people I love in my life, like I've seen about growing businesses so big that you just no longer are doing what you love. You're just managing all day. And so, I the grass has not been greener for me. I've always wanted to expand, but I knew that there's definitely a place where I have a sweet spot where I still want to be the face person. I still want to work with clients every day. I want my clients to have access to me. I want them to know they're getting my creative direction on all design, but that I have this really strong team of people behind me. And so you really helped me bring in more senior level staff because I want staff that my clients feel, confident, have a lot of experience to help me and support me. And if I can't be there for something, that they have people they can really rely on that have excellent experience. But I've also learned, it's finding people who are just have great common sense and are very resourceful and are very enthusiastic and they're go-getters. Though that goes so much farther than experience on paper. And so, I've learned a lot with that. It's very tricky, I think, to find the right people, but I feel like we're at a point now, which is so exciting, that we just have such a strong team, and everybody's doing what they do best. And we all work as a team on everything. So, where one person might have more strengths than another, we kind of all come to it as a team and delegate who does what best. Because I think even like with collaborations with architects and builders, I tell my clients, like, you will never be able to find people who are the best at what they do unless you create a custom team of people that are the best at what they do. Using an architect with designers who work for them, or using a designer with architects who, they're never going to be as good as finding your own architect, your own designer, your own builder, and creating this kind of bespoke custom team for building a custom house. So that's kind of,
And that's what you do for your clients is
that's what we do.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And I do love your team and you've done a
Thank you.
job, and you're now in your showroom, your brick and mortar showroom,
Yeah.
right? Smart. And that's really cool. And you even
Yeah.
have space to expand if you need to. Again,
Yeah.
not getting too big. You don't have to be the
Yep.
biggest design firm, right?
Yeah, we're very excited. We're having our best year this year we've ever had. We beat our COVID year, which is very exciting. That was like the best year for every designer, but we really, I think that opening and again, I mean, it took me 21 years to really move to a big office, but I think, it was the right move. It was the right office. It felt right. And everybody, my whole team, it's just everyone feels reinvigorated. We have new team members who are just excited to be starting this new chapter with us. And I think it's just caused us to be motivated to up the level of everything. We've hired someone now to do our social media because that is my weak point and I hate it. I'm terrible at it. We're having someone help us update our website. I want, everything I put out to be really high level. And we've rethought our software. We've gotten all new software, our processes. I mean, we're really trying to strengthen every aspect of what we do. So it's a really exciting time. And I've kind of, I'm at the place where I always said was my career goal, where I can really focus my day on working with clients, designing, and bringing in new business. And I have this incredibly strong team who can support me in everything I do. So I don't have to be putting my time towards anything that, I shouldn't be using my time. I can really put my time towards the things that I'm able to do.
Well, you know what? I was going to ask you, and you led right into it. So
Yeah.
I always say, we need to live with an attitude of gratitude, and you do that by finding your passion. So it sounds like, tell me if I'm wrong, that you are kind of like, oh my God, I'm there. So how would you define that for people? What does it feel like to like be there?
It's amazing. It's incredible because I feel like I just, in the past, I felt like there were so many things I was doing that I'm just frankly are not my strong points, numbers and spreadsheets and things that other people can do better than me, right? But like I'm the only one at my firm that can really truly understand what my clients are looking for instinctively. I'm the only one that can really give them my design. I can teach my team how to support me in that and what I'm looking for and guide them with an overall vision and ask, delegate what I need them to do. But I'm the only one that knows what's in my head as a vision, understands my clients, can make my clients happy, and who really has all these years of experience to really bring to the table. Like the other jobs that I used to hear this from more seasoned designers that I would say, but how? Like, how is that possible? But anything you can delegate that doesn't make sense for your time is far better, and putting your time into what not other people can help you do.
That's
So,
brilliant. Yeah, I used to always say, take off those hats and surround yourself with people that are better than you in those areas because they're not
yeah.
your passion. So
Yeah.
I also talk about giving back and contributing into other groups beyond who Lauren Colburn's firm is. So tell us about giving back with sustainability and NextHaus
Yeah.
Alliance because that is really all about Mother Earth and trying
Yeah.
to be the next, be conscious of our next generation, right?
Yes. So NextHaus Alliance is comprised of very, very, very extremely talented professionals in Chicago. Brilliant Builders is the builder. Nathan Kipnis is the architect. Barrett's is the AV company. Hearst House is the landscape architect. And me and Janet McCann are the designers. And we have lots of wonderful sponsors. And I was asked to be part of the group about 4 years ago, but the group was started far before. I'm kind of like the newer member of the team. We are all professionals who are just on a high-end level. We build, we all do different facets. There, brilliant builds, and Nathan is the architect, and Janet and I are the designers. But the idea behind it is to create a custom collaborative team of individuals. So if someone's building a home, you don't have to interview all these different people. We come at it, we have great chemistry, we work really well together, and we will all be, you're working with the partners of each firm. And we've all been in business over 25 years, 20, I'm the least at 21 years. Most of them have been at least 25 years. But the idea behind it is that we focus on sustainability. Now, when I was asked to be a member, I said to Nate, I'm really flattered you're asking me to be a member because of my collaborative abilities in the home space, but I don't really know anything about sustainability. And my naive outlook on sustainability is, I don't design in a rustic way. I don't, that just didn't feel like what I do, my design aesthetic. And I've just learned that that's such a myth. Like, that sustainable homes can be the most decadent, the most luxurious, the most beautiful, the most elegant. It's really about using natural materials. And, there's so many things that go into it. I just think the world hasn't shown examples of beautiful, sustainable homes that are elegant and luxurious. So I think people think of it as, I don't really care, or I don't really want that. But I think what we are trying to get people to realize is it's so much more than just I care enough to pay whatever fees to create a sustainable home, and I don't care about solar panels, and I don't care about this and that. It's really about, like, we just built the very first passive certified home in Evanston, and it's, I mean, as highly sustainable as you can get. And rather than bore you with the technical details, I mean, this is a client who has no dust in her house, absolutely no drafts in the winter. I mean, her health and wellness is better. She can breathe more easily. There's so many perks to
Yeah.
designing a fully custom, like a fully sustainable home. And that's a passive certified. It's very, very highly sustainable. You don't have to go to that degree, but our group is here to show you, if you're going to be building a luxury new home, if you're not concerned about the sustainability, think about resiliency. Think about creating the most resilient home you can. And that's the definition of luxury. Like, make it a home that you don't have allergies, and there's no dust and no drafts. And these are all things like anyone would pay for. But I think, we're trying to get it out there that there's so much more to building a sustainable home than just like how much you care about, the environment. I mean, it's great, but sometimes people aren't willing to put that extra money in for that. But like, if you really know what you could have in a home that could be so beneficial, that's
Yeah.
luxury, right there. So
Absolutely. And I worked with Nathan originally on the whole premise of NextHaus Alliance, and I know he's all about creating the smallest footprint on Earth, but meaning on our planet, when you're going to build a home, even if it's custom and it's large,
right
it's
sized.
still create right size. Exactly. So I'm so thrilled that you're working with that group because I know them all very well, and it's a wonderful concept and it's so needed. And
Yeah.
so many people thought sustainable meant, oh, we got to go with like all the low end stuff, and
Yeah.
that's not it at all.
I
So
mean, all the highest end wall covering companies, they're all coming out now with beautiful options. I mean, at the end of the day, it's natural. It's using what's natural. So there's all sorts of beautiful luxury products out there. And the other thing, like with the right sized home, is even my clients not building sustainable homes since COVID, I think the trend with all the new homes that I've built, the trend is creating homes with spaces we will use and creating homes that function for that family exactly. And there's no right or wrong about what is right for every family, but it's really right sized is more about rather than small. I think it's about really creating a very, very usable, practical, logistically ideal space.
exactly.
And not having rooms you might not use for rooms you might not use anything,
Right.
for hobbies you don't have.
Right, because you
Um,
can air
yeah.
conditioned spaces or spaces that you never use. So what I'm going to do in the below this podcast is I'm going to have a link to your website and all how to
Oh,
reach
thank you.
out to you, because I know a lot of people that are watching this are in the industry, but some of them are consumers or want to work with you. They have a project and they need the interior designer side, especially architects and builders, right? And
Yeah.
then I also will put NextHaus Alliance, and I want people to, it's my goal to share my cool leaders like yourself that live with an attitude of gratitude and believe in helping others. But I want you to get some, exposure here. So that'll
Thank
be where everyone can reach you. And I always end my podcast, and it's always too fast, but so I could talk to you forever. But
Oh,
I
I
always
know.
end my podcast with a question for you. So my question for you is, how would you define a well-lived life?
So what I do when some people look at interior design as like kind of a vain kind of thing, but for when I can change someone's world through their home and it's somewhere that they are so much and that if I mean they're spending time with family and they're creating memories. For me, like to make a client happy during the day or to feel like I've solved a problem logistically with their home or to make them feel like, oh, I got what they're looking for, that just makes me feel high. And so the fact that now we've gotten our firm to a place where I do feel like like there's so many opportunities during the day where I feel gratitude that like I can work with clients and really I feel good when I can help somebody. And those things put me on a high. Like when I've had times in the past where I'm a little slow with work, I'm not the same vivacious person. There's just it creates an energy in me when I can do that during the day. So I would say during the week, it's just being able to really, use my time for what I do best and what my clients really need me for. Know I have a really strong team handling the back end of everything and spending the weekends with my family. And I try not to do in-person meetings on the weekends unless somebody really needs it, but the weekends are really to spend with my family. So.
So yeah, that beautiful balance of, love that you can share with your world in your work life, but
We
also,
never travel. We probably should travel more, but we're really bad about
well, you
traveling.
can come on the next Africa Impact trip. We're leaving on Saturday
Done.
for the first one, but we're taking a wait list for the next
I
one.
would love to go to Africa. Yes, it's on my list.
Fantastic. And then I know you're going to be an expert moderator at the luxury
Yeah,
conference
I can't wait.
last year. So thank you for that. And bless you, my dear friend. I'm so
Oh, thank
thrilled
you,
that
Wendy.
you're living your best life and sharing and mentoring and giving back and helping. And I can't wait to see you again in person.
Thank you. I can't wait as well. Thanks, Wendy.
Okay, thank you,
All right.
everybody. Reach out to Lauren Coburn.
Bye.